Our next guest on the pod has been running since 1999, and over that time, she's racing over 60 half marathons, multiple marathons, including last year's Boston Marathon in 2023. She's a Texan, a mama too, a run coach, and when she's not running, she's winning t-shirts from podcasters on Instagram. We're wicked excited to welcome Hillary Burgess to the On the Runs podcast. What's up, Hillary?
I mean, you know, On the Run sucks. Y'all are the worst.
She did it.
So, you know, I'm here anyways. Here I am.
You're doing us a solid. I appreciate it. Yo, thank you so much for coming on. I always joke, like, you could say whatever you want. You can say we're awesome or we suck. And
I kind of just dared her to do it, too.
Yeah.
She did. You win. Hillary gets points.
Yeah, you could be like, On the Run totally blows. I just didn't really think about it when I'm on the toilet now. Oh, man. But Hillary, hey, did I get your last name right?
Burgess, yeah.
Oh, I think I did. I thought of it as I was going through the intro. I'm like, I didn't ask her for the correct pronunciation.
No, you got it right. A lot of people say Burgess, but it's Burgess.
I love that. Yes. Erica, look at me go.
I'm so proud of you, dude. But welcome to the podcast, Hillary. You fit right in already. I mean, you're already making jokes. So this is fantastic. So I know you're joining us from Texas, but we got a little bit in common. Apparently, Eric did some deep diving like he used to do and found out that we both ran on the same trail in Washington. I think they were for two different races, but you got to do the Toulouse to Cascades Trail for a marathon, right?
I did the half. So yeah, I did
cool.
Jack and Jill half marathon a couple weeks ago.
Oh, so that was just
it just happened. Yeah.
That's so awesome. I was out there at the end of June for a race, and it is the most gorgeous place I think I've seen in a long, long time. I would go back in a heartbeat.
Oh, it was so nice, especially going in June, like coming from the hell that is Texas in June. Like it was especially amazing. Like we won't have weather like that until like Thanksgiving. Oh, so no. Yeah. So it was a nice taste of that. And yeah, it was beautiful out there.
Excellent. Well, I'm glad you could join us here today. We're super excited to have you because I've been following you on Instagram for a while and I love all the content that you're putting out. So it's nice to be able to actually talk to the person behind the content.
Well, thank you.
Yeah, it is really cool. And the other thing you do is you're active on Instagram because you're really good at guessing, I guess, what shirt I was sending a t-shirt to. It must have been Texas because you live in Texas, but I was sending a t-shirt out and I posted like an Instagram question. Hey, guess where this stuff is going? And I'll send you a t-shirt. And you were the one who got it right. And now you're wearing the t-shirt. I love it.
Here it is.
What happened to yours? You guys were matching. I
know. Did you change because I was wearing it?
I was like, for the video part, like we'll get different colors here. You'll have the amazing, beautiful On the Runs blue. Erica will
have the same color.
White. No, this is like boring gray.
Oh, in the lighting, it looks like literally the exact same color.
So
it did not do what you were trying.
Yeah, if I put it up to that On the Runs, poster there, it kind of looks the same. It is gray.
It's an illusion.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. No, to be honest, it kind of was smelly because we just went for a run and I threw it on and I took a shower and I put it back on and I'm like, that wasn't smart. So, it needs to go in the wash
That's
now.
Fair.
Yeah, I'm
That's
like,
fair.
we're going to have this long, fun, engaging conversation with Hillary and all I'm going to do is smell myself. Yeah. Who wants that? Especially, I don't want you to smell me through the mic. I don't know if that's a thing, but if in case it was, I don't want you to smell me.
That's why I'm glad we do this virtually so I don't have to sit next to you today.
But Hillary, this is so cool how we've connected through social media and the gram. Why don't you fill us in a little bit on who you are? You're a Texas girl, I think, or are you?
Yeah.
Where are you from?
So I was born here in San Antonio. I moved to Arizona. My dad's from Arizona. My mom's from Texas. So it's been kind of a back and forth forever. I grew up in Gilbert, Arizona. So from ages of 6 to 18, I was in Arizona. And then I came back to Texas as soon as I could. I went to school in Austin. And I moved to San Antonio about 10 years ago. So I have no plans of moving back to Arizona, but I did spend about half my life out there.
So you mentioned to me earlier that you're familiar with the New Hampshire area because you got married up here. So
Yeah.
how
Wait,
did you
what?
meet your husband, and how did you come to get married in our area?
So my husband is about as native San Antonian as you can get. Like his family has been here since like they like originally came from Spain in like the 1700s, and it's
Oh,
like
wow.
yeah, as like pretty deep roots in San Antonio. So neither of us are from there. We are both total Halloween and fall people.
Mm-hmm.
So
Ah.
everything fall, we always had dreamed of going to New England in the fall, and we finally did. We took our kids out there. We did all of the apple picking, and the corn mazes, all the stuff that you see, the quintessential
best
New England
parts.
fall, that stuff.
Yeah.
And then we ended up getting engaged out there. And
Where did he drop
so
down to a knee?
it was in Connecticut, actually. It was the only time we've ever been to Connecticut was for like the 3 hours that we were at this national park. It was Manfield or Mansfield National Forest or Park or something, just across Rhode Island, right there. And we were getting family photos done. And I set the whole family photo thing up. Like I set it up. I had no idea that this was coming. And so that's where he ended up proposing. And when we got back to Texas, it's November, and it's 75 degrees. We start planning our wedding. We're like, the only place that would make us happy to get married would be New Hampshire. Let's go back to New England. And I mean, it was New England at first, and then when we started looking at venues, we found the one venue we wanted, and we're like, okay, that's where we're gonna get married. We're gonna make it happen. So it was at Searles Castle in Wyndham.
Whoa, really?
Yeah.
Wow, that's so close to us.
Yeah. Yeah, it's and so we had everybody stayed for the wedding. We don't have a single relative, anybody anywhere near that. Like it was 100% destination kind of thing. We didn't visit the venue before.
You typically don't think of New Hampshire as a destination wedding, so I love this.
Yeah, that was our destination wedding in New Hampshire. And so we all stayed in Manchester. There's like a building there that it's called the Factory, and it's like half apartments, but then they also you can sell like a block as an Airbnb. So we bought the entire thing. Everybody stayed there. We got school buses, bus people from there to the castle. And actually we did a rehearsal brunch. So it was in the morning. And then after that, we took school buses. Everybody was in costume, and we all went to Salem on school buses. So the night before the wedding, that was what we did. We did not have a traditional
That's so cool.
rehearsal dinner or anything. Yeah. So it was pretty amazing. It was great.
I did a
I'm so
terrible job with my
excited.
research because I knew none of that.
Well,
I didn't
brought it
post
up
any
to
of
me.
it. I don't post a whole lot. The only thing I really posted about it, so I did the New England half marathon, the Delta Dental one, that ends in the right in front of the state capitol.
Yep.
Yeah.
So I did that, and I did that in a wedding outfit. So I wore a white dress and a veil and a sash. That was the week before.
How cute.
Before. So that was pretty. And then I posted, and then the only other picture I think I posted was me in my wedding dress with running shoes on. Like those were. Other than that, I don't post all that much stuff that isn't super running focused. I do have a personal page, and I'll post pictures of my kids, stuff like that. I don't even actually my kids. I have fake names for them on my my public
Love
account,
it.
so people will
I
meet
love
my
it.
kids, and they're like, "Oh, is this Miles?" I'm like, well, no, that's
What a
I mean,
great
it's
name.
yeah. So I have Miles and Cadence. Those are my kids that I came
That's
up
awesome.
with. Yeah, that is not their
Fantastic.
real names, but that is what I use for Instagram.
I don't know if you
Excellent.
can tell, but I'm on Instagram right now scrolling so much looking for this wedding dress photo. I'm like, this is so
Yeah, it was. So
cool.
I just got married last fall, so it
Oh,
should be there
Oh,
last October.
oh,
that's
no
exciting.
way.
That's a
We just
great
missed
race.
it. Okay,
Yeah.
I'm at 36 weeks ago, so I got oh
Okay, you're
there
almost
it is.
there.
Oh
Yeah.
my god, I found it. Holy shit. Holy shit. Erica, you gotta see this.
Share the
This
screen.
is
Share the screen.
yeah, I'm gonna share this. Here we go. YouTube, enjoy this. Wow, so cool. It's a beautiful
Oh
photo
yeah,
too.
there's Thurl's Castle. That's the actual. Yeah, there's the
Oh,
actual wedding picture. There is one sometime around that time period. I posted the actual running. Um,
Oh, I'll find it. I'm good at this. I'm a creeper. I can be a creeper. I can be. I'm not a creeper. I just can be. But I know everything about it. Apparently, well, actually, now you know I don't know everything.
yeah.
I love when I can bring up stuff that surprises him. That's very rare that
That is
happens.
so cool.
Oh,
There's
there's the one in the
With your
wedding dress with the running
shoes.
shoes, and then there's two. Yeah, there
Oh,
it is.
cute.
Delta Dental New England. There we go.
Yep. So I did that whole race in that outfit.
How did I not notice this when I was looking all over your Instagram today? Man, look at here's another one. The fall. Listen, I know
Yeah.
you said you love Texas and you're never gonna leave, but I don't know. I think maybe one day you come up here to New England
Oh, I
for
would
the
love to.
New
Oh,
England life.
I would absolutely love to. It my like that's our plan is at some point to move somewhere cooler. It's just,
Well, you know,
it's a little hard with kids and
True.
we're
Miles and
all of
Cadence
our
will be just
families out here.
fine. You know, in New England, we have a lot of people who we call like snowbirds, and they move
Yeah.
down south in the
That's yeah.
wintertime. You could
Yeah.
like come up here in the summertime and then move back to Texas in the winter. That
I
could be
should,
a
honestly, I
lifestyle.
should, because it's terrible out here. I think you were in the other room when I was talking about my run yesterday.
It was rough.
It
It
just
sounded
about
rough.
killed me, and it was
Spare
so
no
training
details.
for training for a fall marathon in Texas is like the kind of thing that you would not wish on your worst enemy. Like it is so unpleasant here getting long runs in, getting speed work in. So I think becoming a snowbird and paying for a second mortgage, it's sounding pretty good right now.
Just need a
There you
lake
go.
house, a nice lake house somewhere up
Yeah.
Oh
here,
yeah.
Or in the
like a
mountains.
cottage. Oh,
Yeah.
any of that
Both.
would be great.
Both.
Mm.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
That would be great. Hey, let me ask you a question.
Sure.
You're occasionally the funny runner?
Occasionally.
Occasionally. So tell me more about that because we know a funny runner and we love funny runners. So I feel I would have had a feeling we were going to get along with you.
So I amuse myself all the time. Like I find myself funny, but sometimes it's just such stupid stuff, and I don't expect anybody else to actually find the things that I find funny also funny. It always surprises me when they do. If I post something that I'm like, this is such a stupid video, but I'm gonna post it anyways because I find it funny. And then like a handful of people will also. I'm like, hey, look at that.
You find your people. You find your people when
there's 3 or 4 people who also find this funny. So
right?
So sometimes
if you
If
made
you can
one
find
person
people
laugh,
with the same
you did
sense
your
of
job.
humor, you're good. Exactly. That's exactly it.
And typically I'm that one person.
Hey, that's the best.
Count it.
That's
count it.
awesome. Absolutely.
So, just talking about being the funny runner, we mentioned that you have been running since 1999, and you really do look so young. Like, how have you been running since 99?
I know you can't run that early. You're not even born yet.
I know it was tough. It was tough. My legs weren't quite developed, but I just came out running. But no, in all seriousness, my dad, and to this day, he's a cross country coach, a track coach. That's his current job. He was my cross country and track coach, and I also grew up. He's a marathoner as well. He hasn't run one in quite a while, but grew up watching him run. And so when I was in second grade, he asked, "Hey, do you want to run a 5K with me?" And I wasn't entirely sure what that would feel like or how far that was. But, I like to run around on the playground. I like that kind of stuff. So sure. And so I did, and then I never stopped. So it was, I just started with 5K, just road races in elementary school. And then junior high and high school, that's when I got into track and cross country.
Okay.
And then when I was in high school, I was on his team. He was my cross country coach.
How did you guys get along?
Pretty well. There was no, I called him coach. Like, I wanted to make it clear to people that it was like, like everyone knew that I was his daughter. I mean, I look like him if he had hair and was like 20 years younger and a female. But it was very much like, treat me like the other people. I am going to ride home with you, but while we're here, I'm just another runner. And it also helped because like I'm not that amazing of a runner, so I was not like the star on the team. You think of like, oh, the coach's daughter, like that it's the like standout, like winning races or the top on the team. I was always that like 6th, 7th, hanging on barely to varsity. That was where I fell on the team. So very, very much middle of the pack at that point. Same as I'm at today. But
nothing wrong with that.
Yeah,
you're still like 6th or 7th in a marathon. That's amazing.
Yeah, if there were, I was 7th out of 14 in my age group during my last marathon.
There you go.
Okay.
There you go.
Okay.
So you
better than me. Better than the two of us.
Honestly,
well, were there only 14 people in your age group?
I finished 2nd in a triathlon one day out of 2.
Well, hey,
but
top 2.
I got to stand on the podium. I got a gift certificate for like a running store
awesome.
that 2nd place gets. Like I took all the awards with getting 2nd place.
That's still a win.
As you should
have to count it.
Yes.
I mean, you wouldn't get the award if you didn't show up and do it. Like,
Right. I showed up. All those other people didn't, but 2 people did. Yeah. You know what is cool about running is it's one of those sports where I guess the same could be said for swimming or an individual sport. There's no coach's favorite. Like if you're a hockey player, I grew up playing hockey, coach's favorite might be first line center and he might not earn it or deserve it. And there's other players better. But all you're going to do out there as a runner, if you're going to be like the top runner, you need to finish first.
Run.
Coach can't play favorites in running.
Yeah, no, that's very true. So honestly, it was a great experience being on his team. I volunteered with one of his meets last week. He turned it into an actual track meet, but it started off as just their fall time trials.
Okay.
But he made it into like a fun event. It's the Twilight Mile at his school. And so they, so I volunteered at that, and I was just telling all the kids, I was on my dad's team before y'all were born.
That's cool. So he still coaches. That's awesome.
Yeah. He's still out there.
You coach too, right?
I do. I don't coach at a high school, which is probably good. I think it takes a special kind of person to work with teenagers, but I coached this past fall with my run club. So I'm part of San Antonio Roadrunners. We have 3 seasons in the year, and our spring one, it's called Pick Up the Pace. So I was one of the coaches for that. And then I also coach just individually as well.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
All right, so you ran your first race, a 5K, 1999. A lot of runners who I've met over the time, they're like, oh, I ran like a fun 5K somewhere, and then I went 20 years between never running. If your dad was your coach and you were like, how old were you in 99? 6 or something? 7. How did that running evolve? Did you continue to run throughout the childhood to school? Like, were you doing races, or were you just like going on runs with your dad and joining the cross country team? How did your running evolve and expand throughout all those years?
Yeah, so no break. Definitely no break in there. I don't think I've ever gone. I mean, there's been some lulls where I only race like maybe once or twice a year. but I've never gone more than that without racing. So, I went into cross country and track in junior high and high school. And then in college is when I started getting into half marathons. And I focused mostly on half marathons for about 10 years. And then I ran my first full marathon. It was about a year after my youngest was born. So I was 30. I had 2 kids when I ran my first full marathon. And then I still run mostly half marathons. So I'm on a streak. That's what I do. I make sure I run at least 1 half marathon a month. That's like
Good
that's
to
what
have the base. Keep the base.
Yeah, that's what I make sure that I do every single month. And Berlin will actually only be my 6th full marathon.
You got Berlin
not
coming
a,
up.
yeah. So not a super long marathon veteran, but have definitely been in and around the sport for most of my life. And my dad, before I even started running, he actually ran his first marathon when he was 12. So
What?
yeah, you were allowed to do that back then. It was 1980, so you were allowed to do that. Like there was no rules. Like yeah, they also hadn't like invented goo or anything, so it was just kind of like have a sponge, and that's what you get. Yeah, like that was as close to any sort of aid station as they had, were like people giving you a sponge. But then he took a little bit of a break between that, and then he started again in his early to mid 30s. He started again with marathons. So like as a kid, I was watching him run marathons. I had a poster of Steve Prefontaine on my wall, like right next to my Green Day poster. Like this, I mean, it was like, raised like the patron saint of running, like very much ingrained in me. And my siblings ended up turning away from it, so it was not a foolproof thing, but my dad did get one of us. So
well, you had a great role model to look up to, so it's good that it kept you motivated and wanting to keep on with your running journey.
Oh, it's great. And he's still I'll send him my runs. He goes to my races. He was at my last marathon in March. He's been at all my marathons except for Boston. So Boston was the only one that he was unable to make it to.
He missed out.
He won't be at Berlin, but he will be in New York.
Whoa.
Yeah.
What a list coming up.
And so New York, he actually ran the New York City Marathon exactly 20 years ago.
No way.
The 2024 date is super special. So I'm excited to finally be doing it.
Oh, and he's gonna be there.
I know. Yeah. I'm super excited.
We'll get to marathons later, but you seem to be like the half marathon expert. You've run over 60. So one thing we like to do is talk about like some amazing races. What are some of like the best half marathons around the country to go to? Because
besides the nice New England one that you went to.
Yeah.
I would 100% do that one again. Like I would run that if logistically I could make it happen. I would run that one every single year. It was I love point to point races. Like they go so much faster. It was a hilly race. Like it was net downhill, but not in the way that Jack and Jill was. It was a hilly race, so not exactly super easy, but yeah, that one's gorgeous. And they do it, I don't know if it's always that weekend, but the second to last weekend in October. So perfect with the foliage and everything. That one was fantastic. And the year before that, I actually did the Newburyport half marathon.
Yes.
Okay.
And it was very similar, because I think it was the same weekend actually.
I think Millennium puts both on.
Gotta pick and choose.
Yeah, they do. So both of those, if you're a fall buff, those are awesome ones for that. I ran the what was it? The Rock and Roll Las Vegas half. I ran that this past February, and that one was by far one of the most fun races I've ever done of any distance. It was so cool. They shut down the entire strip. And it's a night race. So
Oh, that's awesome.
yeah, so everything's lit up. There's no cars at all. Like you're just right up the middle of the strip. It's a straight line. You turn around at some point and then you go back, but there's not a single turn in that race
Really?
besides turning yourself around to go back. Yeah, it was and it was just so cool. Like all of the iconic Las Vegas signs and hotels and attractions, everything is right there, everything is visible during the race. So that one was really, really cool. And we have a rock and roll here in San Antonio. It's the one race that I have to run every single year. That's the one that I will not like compromise on. I won't miss it. It's my first full, my first half. But every year at the expo, the big one that rock and roll does that they're always promoting is the Vegas one. And I'm like, I'm going to do it at some point. And I finally made it out there and I'm like, okay, this is why that's y'all's premier event that you are, that you guys talk about. And that San Antonio is, the afterthought.
Gotcha. So do you travel for a lot of your races, or were a majority of them in Texas?
Most of them are here. So
Okay.
the vast majority of them are here. I'll plan trips around races. So, if we're thinking of going somewhere, then it's like, oh, well, let's find out what race is in that region and then we can plan around it. It's typically not like there happens to be a race out there and then I just go. Typically I'll plan around it. Like we'll do a family trip. Like that's what we did for Seattle because we wanted to get out of the heat for a little bit with the kids. Take them to go do all of the things, we did the big Ferris wheel, all that stuff. And so we planned the trip around when the race was going to be. But the vast majority of the races that I do are here in San Antonio or in like the greater Hill Country area, which is the area like within an hour of here.
Okay. That's awesome.
Yeah.
How'd that first marathon go?
Oh, it went bad. It was so
Yeah.
bad.
Oh no.
Oh my God. Oh goodness.
We got some code browns here. What are we talking?
Yeah, we have one rule on this podcast. Spare no details.
Oh gosh.
I was not expecting you to say that.
Oh, it was so bad. Like to this day, it took me a full, I think, year and a half to post footage of me finishing this race because it was so bad. It's like the worst I've looked at any point in my life. I'm like almost completely horizontal finishing this race.
Oh no.
So, and then I ended up posting this video. I'm like, oh, nobody will notice it. And then somehow it's like my most viewed video of all time is me finishing this race. And literally, I have never in my life looked worse. Like being in labor with my children, I looked more lively and in less pain than I did while finishing this race. So I trained for the race. So I'll start with that because a lot of people who look like that at the end of races, it's like, they're the people who get to, oh, I didn't train for this, but here I am. Like, I'm going to do it anyways. I very much trained for this race. I followed my training plan to a T. I put the work in. And so by all accounts, I should have been ready for this. The expo was great. I felt awesome. Started the race. I felt fine. And then there were two separate things that kind of kicked in. So at mile 18, oh, and it was raining that day. So that was the other thing. It was pouring rain the entire race. And it was right? December. So that was the other
wow.
Yeah. So, I mean, it wasn't below freezing or anything. I'm sure if it rained for y'all in December, it would be like, sleet.
Not fun.
But it was still, 45 degrees. Like it was not a warm day.
No.
And I slipped and fell at mile 18.
No.
Yeah. Perfect. Like wonderful place to fall. It was on a bridge. There was like a metal sheet covering something that, you know, they lift up and they go work on something. So
Yeah.
I slipped on that, and I had goo and my phone in my pocket, and it exploded all over my phone.
Oh,
I
No.
landed on my hand and my hip. There was a bench right there, so I just went and I just sat there. I'm washing off my phone using rainwater, and I text my dad. I'm like, I fell, I can't do this. And then, so I mean, a full 5 minutes sitting there, and then, you know, I'm like, all right, I'm gonna finish my race. So I was not horrifically hurt in any ways. It was just like it threw me off. It
Yeah, it
was
still shakes you up. Yeah.
yeah.
Throws off your game.
And I'd only run that far once in my life at that point. Like, I did my 120 miler. So at that point, you know, I was getting into uncharted territory. And then physically I'm fine, like bones, muscle wise. And then I just start feeling really sick. And what is wrong with me? Like, why, like, couldn't tell if it was just, that was just what it felt like. If you run more than 20 miles, like, you're gonna feel like you're gonna vomit like every 3 seconds, if that's just what it feels like, and the pros are just good at suppressing that, or if it was just me and I just suck, or what it is. So I just you know, crawl my way to this finish. And I was using an interval timer, and for the majority of the race, because I use an interval timer for most of my easy runs. I'll do 90 seconds on, 30 seconds off. And so I had an interval timer, and I had to actually, for my last 2 miles, I switched it to 30 seconds of running and 90 seconds of walking. Otherwise it would have been all walking. Like, I was in such bad shape. I turned the corner. This is when my dad had the foresight to film this horrible video. I will send it. It's actually pinned on my page.
I think I found it.
Yeah, it's the very first thing. If you go
Are
to
you
my
wearing
page,
purple?
I am. Yes, it's the worst. It's so bad. You can play it.
Erica, well, actually, I just paused this. I think it's different from the video, but you did a comparison, and it is very accurate.
That one, yeah.
If you're
that's
anything
another
like
video.
Jasmine
Yeah,
Paris, hell
that's
yes.
me.
You know you're working hard.
Yeah.
Oh, Hillary.
Yeah.
I mean, except for a yellow gate, I mean, it's the same photo.
It is, and yeah. Oh gosh, yeah, and yeah. It was so bad. Yeah, the actual video of me finishing is the pinned one on my page. But I ended up finishing, and final time was 5 hours 21 minutes and 37 seconds. And I was just immediately just sick. I did not feel better once I was done. Yes, it's that one.
Oh no.
It is that one. Oh god. See, that it's kind of like skipping, so I look less terrible.
Wait, did they just like tap you like good job and you almost fell? The girl at the mic?
Yeah, probably.
Oh.
Yeah, it looks like, or maybe
Probably.
Let's watch again. Here we go. The microphone lady saying good job, high five. Oh,
And I'm like, oh.
you tried to high five and you almost fell flat on your face after that high five.
Yeah. And then I did. It's not on camera, but I definitely sat like on the ground, and they're like, do you need a wheelchair? I'm like, no, please leave me alone. Like, I will get up in a second. Do not wheel me anywhere. I will get up. I did get up. I did make it out of the finisher's chute on my feet. But I went home that night. I just could not stop sweating.
Oh,
and
no.
I ended up, like, I was nauseous and I was shaking and I was sweating, and I was like, I know marathons are not supposed to feel good, but like this, I think this might be beyond that. So I took a COVID test and it was positive. And
my God.
So that was, so my first marathon, I had COVID. I would not have run it if I had felt like that going into it, or if I had known that I was positive. I mean, you know, there's like 10,000 people that run that race every year. Like, it's our biggest one in the city of San Antonio.
Yeah.
but I did not know it. This was the first time I've had COVID.
And
The
you felt
second time
normal
was
before
this
the
summer.
race?
I felt normal before the race. I didn't start feeling sick until later in the race. And I don't know if I was feeling sick a little bit earlier than when I fell, but I was just like the adrenaline of everything. And then it just
Yeah.
kind of hit me when I did fall, and I was kind of like off of everything.
Right.
But that's when I started feeling terrible. And yeah, it was awful. And then I ran my second marathon. I ran the Austin Marathon like 2.5 months later. I took 24 minutes off my time. Like I felt what a marathon should feel like, you know, like not pleasant. Like I want this to end, but this is not like I don't need to go to the hospital or the
Right.
morgue. Like this is like so yeah, it was so incredibly bad.
Were
Well,
you
I'm just
already
glad.
signed up for that Austin Marathon?
I can't remember. I don't believe I was. No.
So
I
you
think I
went
signed
through
up
that
because
disaster
See, I'm
yeah.
just
and you
glad
signed up for
that
more.
I'm glad that it didn't deter her from the marathon altogether, because having a first experience like that is enough to make anybody be like, no, hell no, I'm done. This is it. I don't want to feel like this again, even if it was COVID. But that's just such a it's like it's a mind thing. Like it just
It was
gets into
so
your
bad.
head. And
It was so bad.
but I'm glad you signed up for that second one, had a better experience. I
Yeah.
mean, just having a PR of like 24 minutes, that's huge. And that is like a great confidence booster. So I'm glad that it was a better experience the second time
Yeah.
around.
Yeah, and then I've taken it down another 24 minutes since then.
Great. That's
So-
fantastic.
Nice.
Yeah.
Excellent.
Yeah.
I'm looking at
Getting
another
there.
photo. Your headband, it's like one of those old school
Oh yeah,
like
the Dixie cups.
yeah, we have those at our work.
Yeah. The
Nice.
water cooler things. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. What a story. You
So you mentioned that since then you've run Boston, you've got Berlin and New York on deck. Can I assume that you're going to go for all the majors, or are you just doing like whichever ones that you feel like? How do
So
you choose your
definitely
marathons? Yeah.
Yeah, I definitely plan to do all the majors. I don't know how soon I'll be getting to Japan or England. And actually, Berlin came kind of as a surprise for me. So my best friend, she was the maid of honor in my wedding.
Mhm.
She got engaged, and they decided, despite well, actually, it's no crazier than mine, because we actually had only been to New Hampshire for like 4 hours one time, and we decided to get married there. She's never been to Portugal.
Ooh.
And they decided, hey, we're getting married in Portugal.
yeah,
And
not as nice as
so
New Hampshire.
it's a different kind of nice. Honestly, I like my like gold standard is
New
New Hampshire. Like I know you're being
Yeah.
facetious, but that is it. Like if I could live in like a Thomas Kincaid painting of fall, which is essentially what New Hampshire is in October, like that would just be like heaven for me. But then Portugal, you know, obviously it's also going to be beautiful. It's on a vineyard, like
Yeah,
it's going
I'm
to
sure
be
it's gonna be
wow.
great.
yeah. And then she tells me the wedding date, and it's September 21st. I'm like, so I'm going to be in Europe at the end of September. You know what happens in Europe at the end of September? It's the Berlin Marathon. And I realized it was exactly a week after she was getting married. My husband and I have not taken our honeymoon yet. Our honeymoon, we did for like a registry, because we were both in our 30s. We already had kids, everything when we got married. So our entire registry was a honeymoon fund.
Mhm.
And we hadn't done anything with that. And so we're like, you know what we should do for our honeymoon? We should go to Carly's wedding. That's my best friend, Carly. And then we should meander our way across Europe and end up in Berlin. And then I'll run the marathon.
Awesome.
And that is what we're doing. So I signed up for a charity because I wanted it to be a sure thing. Like I did not want it to be, yeah.
So does he run too then with you, or is it just you?
No. He He makes me breakfast when I get home from a long run. He tells me I'm insane. He watches our kids so that I can go be gone for multiple hours.
What a good man. Good man.
Yeah. He's very supportive. He does not understand it, but he is very supportive.
Sounds like my
That's cool.
boyfriend. He's just along for the ride.
Yeah,
Especially if you get to take him to some pretty cool places. So
yeah,
Berlin is one of them.
Yeah. Yeah. So the fact that I'm doing an overseas race at all was not part of the plan. Like, it's just like a very happy, like it happens to work out. So as much as I want to do this, the 6 stars, I don't know what the timeline's gonna look like for that.
You got as much time as you need. There's no expiration date.
For sure. So it is on that. I think I have a lot of things I want to do here, like in North America, that are easier to go, because being away for a weekend is so much easier.
Chicago.
That is one that I think will probably be the next on my major journey, and that will probably be whenever I do want to do it. I'll probably do charity as well, because I don't like the guesswork of like, maybe I'll get in on a lottery. So maybe.
Well, it seems like so many people go for these lotteries now.
Oh yeah,
like they're the most that have ever applied for a lottery, and like 1% get it. But yeah, I mean, it's like Wayne Gretzky said, you don't score on 100% of the shots you don't take, right?
Yep. Yeah, it's crazy, because I was originally, my first marathon was actually supposed to be the New York City Marathon in 2014.
Oh.
And I had no idea what the lottery was like. I just signed up for it, and then I got in, and I told my dad, I'm like, hey, I'm running the New York City Marathon. He's like, what? Like, oh, is that a big deal? Like, because this was right when I had graduated from college. Like, I'm like, I've been doing some half marathons for a while. Like, I should do a full marathon. My dad did the New York City Marathon 10 years ago, and he's from New York. Like, that looks like a good one to do. Let's sign up. And then I get the thing. I'm like, oh, cool. I got in, and I assumed it was like a 50-50 chance or something. Like I had no idea what this was. Story with that one, actually, I ended up pregnant with my oldest, and I was incredibly sick for the last like 2 months of my training cycle. And the actual race day. So it is not something that I ended up running.
Gotcha.
But I had no idea. Like, as somebody who had not run marathons or paid much attention to what like the world majors were, whatever, I had no idea what the field looked like. And that's the only time that I've really like entered a lottery and gotten in or really went with that. So everything else has been, I'm like, I'm just going to find a different way in.
Well, you do that by charity, and you raise money for the Boston Marathon, which is a lot of money.
Yes.
That's the hard one.
Yeah. Give us everything. Spare no details on Boston, from how you got in, all the way traveling, race day, everything.
So that's another crazy story. So
love the crazy stories. You're bringing it.
So
she understands.
I found out I was going to be running Boston. That year, Boston was on April 17th, and I found out on March 16th that I would be running.
Whoa.
Yeah. So here's how that happened.
Oh no, that's only a month. Oh.
Yeah, no, the entire thing is insane. So I started my running Instagram account in January, and I started connecting with people, and I met somebody who was running for charity. And I'm like, oh, that's pretty cool. Like, I should ask him how he got there. Like how did that work, so that maybe at some point in the future I can do that. Mm-hmm. And he told me, he's like, what's most important is having a personal tie to a charity. And that's what makes all the difference when you're applying, when you're raising money, like all of that. And so immediately my mind went to my daughter. I call her Cadence on social media. So she was born with a heart defect, and she was born in March of 2021, and she had a heart defect. She wasn't able to eat. because her aorta was wrapped around her esophagus. So she
Oh my
had a
gosh.
G-tube. Yeah, for the first few months of her life, like she was essentially just starving to death before we got her diagnosis. And then they put in a G-tube and she was able to eat, gain weight. And then when she was 15 months old, she had corrective surgery. And so they went in, they actually cut her aorta, they rerouted it, put it where it's supposed to go.
Oh, wow.
And her esophagus went from like the coffee stirrer straws to like a
What it's
regular
supposed to
person.
be, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
And so my mind automatically, I'm like, okay, well, I want to do something children's heart, surgeries or defects, something like that, something that can give back to, because there's so many kids who do not have it as good as she did. Like she had her surgery and she's made just a full recovery, which is amazing.
Great
And
news.
so I started just researching. I just went on Google and I found a charity. It's a Boston-based charity. I think a lot of them are. And it's called the Joseph Middlemiss Big Heart Foundation. So Joseph Middlemiss was a little boy who was born with cardiomyopathy, and he died when he was 6 years old. And his parents started the foundation in his memory. And they had this, and this was March of 2023 that I found the website, and they still had they'd never taken down their application for running for their team for Boston. So I wrote in, I'm like, hey, I'm sure y'all have a team for this year, but I'm really interested for 2024. So I just wanted to introduce myself, share my story with y'all, and be on your radar, see how I can support your team this year, blah, 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 all this.
So you're doing this in March of 23,
March of 23.
Thinking for the next year. You're not thinking I want to run next month.
Oh boy.
Yeah, no, I had no expectation of running it that year. I was like, okay, well, applications haven't opened, but they never closed theirs. So I can just do this now. I'll get a head start on the process and that'll work out really well. And then I get a call from the person in charge of all the charities, Susan from Charity Teens. She calls me and she said, hey, so this is crazy, but I just got a bib, and if you can raise the $8,500, they let me do 85 instead of 10,000 because it was only I had 32 days.
Oh my gosh.
And she said, if you can do that, then I have a bib for you. If you can do that and make your way to Boston, I have a bib for you. And I did not hesitate. I did not have a game plan. I was like, is this going to end up going on my credit card? Like, how am I going to get there? Like all of this, but I said, yes,
planning a wedding.
I will do it. Yeah, that too. Yeah, it was, and I was like, yes, I'll do it. And, so I set up my thing. I told everybody, hey, guess what? Turns out I'm doing this. I was able to raise the money. I did it in 22 days.
Wow, that's amazing.
Yeah.
Well
so
done.
it was a lot of telling my daughter's story, talking to everyone I've ever met, lots of people I haven't. My son and I went to the trailhead. We had donuts and goos and liquid IV and stuff. And so we just gave stuff out and asked people for donations. Just like the basic stuff. There was no crazy, inventive, crazy thing that was what got me there. It was just a combination of over 200 people pitching in, and the other part was the logistics. So I did hit the fundraising goal. So, or it's actually a fundraising commitment. So I always like to tell people that, like, when you're signing up, like, it is not a goal. This is not like raise $8,500. If you don't, like, that's fine. It's $8,500. You either raise it or you pay whatever is left over.
Yep.
So I did do that.
That's why I haven't done it yet.
Yeah, I don't know if I hadn't, I'm not really sure how I would have handled that. We're actually still paying off the heart surgery itself. So, America's a fun place to have life-saving surgery. It's really great.
No, we had a similar. Now that I'm thinking about it, I would be the same boat. Like, I give Erica a hard time because she did it for Team Eye and Ear. I'm like,
I
what's your
didn't really
connection?
have the personal connection, but
Well,
I
you
did
have
it
eyes and
anyways.
ears.
Yeah,
I mean, yes,
there
I
you go.
do.
But now I'm wondering, like, so my twins had TTTS, which is this pre-birth thing, and I'm like, now I'm thinking, I wonder if there's like a charity for that. That's one I could connect to, and I
Yeah,
think I could.
yeah.
I'll research, but I'm still scared of the 10 grand. If I do, I'm going to call you and I'm going to have you help me raise it in 22
No,
days.
absolutely.
22 days.
Yeah.
You might, hopefully we'll have a little more time.
Yeah.
Hopefully.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Hopefully.
Yeah.
Um,
I have no problem trying to raise money. The
yeah.
hard thing or the scary thing is what you said. You're committing to,
Yeah.
and they're going
Mhm.
to charge your card. So if you only raise
Yep.
6
Yep.
grand and you committed to 10, boom, 4 grand on
Yep.
your credit card the next day.
Yep. Yep. Which, I mean, it does make sense. You know, a lot of these charities, like, this is their number one funding and everything. It makes sense, but it is definitely a daunting thing, like when you're signing up for it and everything. But luckily, I did get that part. And then the other part was, this was a month before the race. Like, everybody had already booked their travel to get there. So how am I getting
right.
myself to Boston? How am I going to, you know, it's almost 2,000 miles
If
away.
only we had known.
If
I
only
know.
we knew. Erica has a spare bedroom.
It's right here.
Next time I find out I'm running Boston with a month's
Hit
notice,
me up,
I will
Hillary.
let you
Hit me
know.
up.
Yeah.
Yeah, and so we actually found an Airbnb like less than a mile from the finish. I'm nearly positive someone canceled because I don't know how else this would have been
Right.
available.
Right.
But we did find that. And I did find a plane ticket home from Boston, but literally nothing. I could not get to Boston. Like under $2,000. Like everything
my
was,
gosh.
you know, it would be connecting through like 4 places and $1,600. But I did get plane
Hitchhike.
tickets to Newark. Yeah, I did hitchhike across the country. No, we got plane tickets to New Jersey, and then we took the Amtrak. So
Okay.
Oh, nice. That's
Yeah.
actually that's kind of cool. Train
Yeah,
ride.
yeah.
I was going to pump the tires for our little local airport here in Manchester. It's the best airport in the world.
Oh yeah, we had some people fly in there for the wedding, and they said it was very very nice, very manageable. That's what I love about the San Antonio airport. Like our airport, for being a large city, because there's so many like bigger cities in in Texas, the San Antonio airport is pretty much like what you would expect like in a city with 100,000 people. Like
Mhm.
it's like, you know, you wait 5 minutes and then you walk to your gate. Like it's amazing. But
You don't even wait that long here.
yeah, but the trade-off is that there's like almost zero direct flights anywhere.
Yeah.
So you're
Yeah.
always going to have connections.
Yep.
So that was what I was running into. I'm like, do I drive to Dallas and then fly to somewhere else? And then, but we ended up getting out of San Antonio to Newark and then took the train from Newark. So I
You
actually
say
got,
Who's we?
my husband came with me. So
Just
this
you and
was,
him?
and my birthday's April 16th. So this ended up being like a birthday trip thing.
That
makes
I was
it
at the
extra
expo for my
special.
birthday. Yeah. It was amazing. We actually did the train. We did first class on the train because it was my birthday. So
Did you
plane
get the
tickets.
quiet car or the loud car?
No, it's just like it was just like normal. I mean, it was not like like nobody told us to not talk, but like there was no like rambunctious like families and, you know, kids swinging off
They
the
told
ceiling
me
and
to
stuff.
stop talking.
Really?
I got yelled at.
That's because you're
That's
just
funny.
beep, 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 beep.
That's hilarious. No, they didn't tell us to stop talking. So I don't know if it was a quiet car or not, but it was fine. It was a 4-hour train ride. It wasn't too bad. We did get to Boston about like I got to the expo with like 1 hour left of the expo, and this was on Sunday. So like the race was
Gotta be
the following
close.
morning,
Yeah.
and so I didn't get to do a lot of the weekend things that I would have liked to do. You know, the famous people and the book signings and all of that kind of stuff. Like I didn't get to do any of that stuff,
Yeah,
but I did make it.
that's the important part.
All right, so you make it to Boston. You got all your
Yes.
stuff. You're staying 1 mile from the finish line. let's go
Yes.
race morning. Wasn't it raining?
It was. It sure was quite a lot. They were giving out these wonderful ponchos at the expo. So I did have that. And I have some beautiful pictures of myself. I brought throwaway sweats. So I'm wearing throwaway sweats, throwaway shoes, because they have a whole thing at the start where you can like donate your stuff. It's not just like going to be in a dumpster somewhere. Like they donate it. So I brought stuff that I was like ready to get rid of anyways. I'm wearing all of that. It was cold. It was raining. I'm wearing this poncho. I look fantastic. It's just really great. And you get on the bus so much earlier than when you're actually gonna run. So I get to Athletes Village, and everything is like the whole field is like flooded. It's all sorts of puddles. But then there were the faster people would go and line up, and they would leave their, like, some people had Mylar blankets from other races and all sorts of stuff. So eventually there were some dry places to sit on the ground, but like at first I was just like under this tent and everything was flooded, and it was just it was a lot of that until the other waves went and lined up and left there like the only dry spots that were left.
That's pretty much reminiscent of my Boston. I did it in 2018 with that crazy monsoon, and it was absolutely trashed. And it was so hard to stay dry. There came a point where I was like, what's the point? Like, we're going to be absolutely drenched 30 seconds into this race anyway. So, but how did the rest of the race?
I don't mind. Yeah, I don't mind running in the rain, but like standing in the rain is not a pleasant thing.
Because you're just like, why am I out here? Like,
yeah, like once I start moving, it's not as bad. Like, your blood's pumping and everything. But I was so cold, so uncomfortable. But it was, I was also just kind of in awe of the fact that I was there. Like that was also part of it. Like I was just amazed that I actually made it there. I also felt very much imposter syndrome. Like, oh, like I should not be here. Like this is, people are going to expect me to be running a 6-minute mile and all of this. So that also was going through my head. It was a lot of emotions and everything. The wave that I started with, and I was like the last person to start the race. Like I was taking my time, like taking off my sweats and everything. So I literally started in last place, and I had no idea what to expect. But luckily, like the wave I was with, there was a lot of people who were my speed or much slower. So that was good. I was not. It wasn't like they don't. For anybody who's not familiar with the process, they put all the charity people together, so they don't just kind of intersperse you. It's like, okay, here's Des Linden, here's Hillary, here's there's some space between us by like multiple hours. So
yeah, they do have the different corrals, right? Yeah,
I'm watching the reel right now, and it looked miserable before the race. Like it looked really bad. It looks like it gets a little better during the race, then maybe a little worse, then a little better. But we were there. Remember, Erica?
That was when you
raining.
were
I was sick.
Yeah.
But it wasn't so bad because we had like an easy up, and it was later. But you were there early. It looked bad, man.
Yeah. It was not the most comfortable pre-race situation. But at the same time, I couldn't complain. I was about to run the Boston Marathon. Like I was, it was, if you had told me that 33 days before that was where I was going to be spending my 31st birthday, I would have been like, how did that come to be? Like,
right.
and so that was not lost on me. So despite it being cold and miserable, it was still just kind of a surreal, like amazing experience just to be there.
And don't worry about that imposter syndrome.
We all get it.
Yeah.
All the time. Yeah.
Yeah. You're out there. You raise the money in like record time. You get to go out there and run the race and get the medal. That's so cool. It's a good thing you did it last year, because this past year was horrible weather. It was way too hot.
Yeah, I saw.
Wicked hot. Yeah.
She's used to it with the San Antonio weather.
That is true. And that's what I was telling some of my runners that I'm training for. And there's 3 people that I'm training for the New York City Marathon right now. And I told them, because I ran with them a half marathon here in San Antonio the first weekend of August, and it was terrible, and it was so bad. And And I told them, I was like, the hottest day in New York City history in November on record is better than whatever this is. Like, they can have a heat wave, but it's still November in New York City, and it's not going to be 102 degrees and 60% humidity.
Exactly.
So that's that's the thing. It doesn't make it pleasant. Like, I don't go out there, I'm like, yeah, hell yeah, I'm in my element. It just, I know I can survive it.
Yeah, you'll
Pushing
be
That's
good.
about
limits.
it.
That's exactly it. So how did the rest of Boston treat you? Did
It
it live
was
up
it
to
was
the
amazing.
hype?
It did. Yeah, it absolutely did. I know people want me to say that it didn't, and that there's better races to go sign up for and whatever, but it absolutely 100% did. And I recommend everybody run it once at some point. If you're not in a place to qualify, the charity route is definitely intimidating, but it is so very worth it. One of the most special times, and you probably saw it just now, like when it's a blink and you miss it thing, but in my reel, is at Heartbreak Hill. That's where the tent for the charity was set up, and so that's where Joseph's parents were, and I stopped and I hugged them and everything. That was when I really started crying. Like, it
Aw.
was, yeah, it was. So even just aside from it being an amazing experience as a runner, just like as a human, like it's such a special experience running as a charity runner. And I definitely recommend anybody that race for sure to do. And it's on my list to do again when I do have the ability to commit to that.
Now, I got to bring up your social media. You are such a strong advocate for like the middle pack runners, the back of the pack runners, because I know
Yes.
there had been that whole controversy. I think it was like with Tracksmith and like just people
Oh
being
yeah.
super elitist, saying like,
Yeah.
if you can't run a marathon under 5 or 6 hours, you don't
Yeah.
deserve to be out there. And
Yeah.
I
It's
just
quicker
love
than
how
that.
much. Well, I'm just saying, like, there are people
Yeah.
who are slower runners, and people were saying, like, if you can't do this, why are you even out here? And
Exactly.
you are a
Yeah.
big champion for those runners who may not be as fast as the elites. And I just have to
Absolutely.
say, I love it. I love you for it. I want people to know that yes, I think you guys are amazing because you are putting in so much work to be out there, and you're out there for so much longer. It's so much more difficult for you. Like, people
Yeah.
don't understand how long it takes to run like a 5-6 hour marathon. So just
Yeah.
thank you for being out there and being a voice for the middle and back of the packers.
Yeah, for sure. And for a while I was kind of, I didn't like to talk about my goals. Like, so for Berlin, my goal is to break 4:30. So my current PR is 4:33. And for a long time I would kind of be like, oh well, it's not that great of a goal, but blah blah blah, put it down
It's
and
your
everything.
goal though. Like,
And
nobody else should be able to tell you about that.
that's the thing, and that's what I'm trying so hard to do is, the first time that I broke 5 hours, I was just ecstatic. Like, it was a huge milestone for me.
Yeah, absolutely.
And it's something, if somebody, like, there's improvement at any place where you're at, and even if it's not even like a speed thing, running further, running a specific race, something more technical, a hillier race, anything. That's what I love about this sport, is that there's ways to measure progress and improvement that aren't just I won a gold medal at the Olympics. Like there are other benchmarks, or even I won my local 5K. Like you don't have to ever win anything ever, and you can still be improving upon your time, or your time, it remains similar, but you run a more even race, you run negative splits. Like, there's so many things that that people like myself, who is, I'm never going to be breaking the tape in any sort of race, but it's still fulfilling because, I, after my first race, I went into Austin. I'm like, breaking 5 hours would be cool, but there's no way I'm going to do it. Cause I had only run the one marathon and it was such a bad experience. And then finishing it, I finished in 4:57, And it was just, some people that's like double what their time is, and that's horrifying. Some people could work the rest of their life and never get to that spot. Like it's just such an individual thing, and that's what people need to remember. And supporting people who are trying to qualify for the Olympic trials as much as you are supporting somebody who just wants to get to the finish line. And
Exactly.
that's very much my philosophy with running. And I don't think that I would have stuck around with it this long if my dad had pushed on me like the only runners that matter are the ones in the front, or if I had on myself like, oh, I need to be this amazing runner, because I never was going to be. Like, I do not have an ounce of talent. Like it is what it is. Like, I am not a talented runner. I'm a hard worker and I like to do it. So I can finish races. Yeah. And I can finish races. I can do that. I can do things, but I'm never going to. I could literally quit my job and go train with Safan Hassan. And, maybe I could end up breaking 4 hours in the marathon, run something a lot better than what I'm doing now, but I'm not going to go and run a 2.5 hour marathon. Like, it's not something that I am physically capable of, and that's okay.
No, I absolutely love that you are there, and you're basically just confirming that comparison is the thief of joy, and that you need to run your own race, quite literally, and just let people do what they're going to do. Like, I can't see how people can be like that and just put somebody down for running slower. I don't know. It just doesn't make sense to me.
Honestly, they're the same people. Because I put out, so I have my series, my Elite versus Elitist series, which is probably what you're referring to. I mean, it's the same people who are being negative about Olympians who didn't get gold. It's like, there is no please. Or like Kipchoge, because he didn't get gold this time. Like, so I mean, he's a 2-time Olympic marathon gold medalist, and he didn't finish this Olympic marathon, and so suddenly it's like, oh, he sucks, he's terrible. Like, there's literally no pleasing people like that.
Honestly,
like, with that much negativity just oozing out of them. Like,
that's why I just try to stay on the positive side all the time. Like, what is it going to do me to put somebody else down? Like, it's not going to make me feel any better. So I just want to spread the love.
Yeah, the stuff you put on there is awesome. Like, I've been going through it this whole time, a lot today, as I do on with every guest of the day, but I've seen it before, and your stuff is freaking funny as well. You put some funny stuff up there, some funny memes. You're not afraid to show what you look like and talk about your past or stuff. And
that's being real, though. You got to be real.
Yeah, well, there was one where you like put your name up there with Elliot Kipchoge and Des Linden, and then you got this other one. It looks like you're hanging out with Kara Gosher and Des and stuff. And like,
yeah. Oh yeah, I'll Photoshop myself into all sorts of pictures. One of my favorite things is to make fun of myself, and that goes back to being occasionally funny sometimes.
I love it. Occasionally the funny lover.
Occasionally.
The funny runner. You met Shalane Flanagan too. It looks like an airport.
I did. Yeah, I stopped her. So that was in Eugene, and so my dad is amazing at recognizing people like out in the wild. And I'm not. Like, I could probably like my best friend would be somewhere and I might struggle to recognize her. But my dad just has this eye for everybody who is who was an elite runner at any point in the last 100 years, probably. I mean, he's 56, so so maybe closer to that. But if anyone has been an elite runner since the 70s, like, my dad will recognize you if you're out in the wild. And we were at the Eugene airport. We went to the pre-classic this spring, and there starts to be people in Oregon track outfits coming off of the airplane. And my dad's like, oh, I think the Oregon track team is coming back. I think that Shalane might be on this plane. And so we're just like watching the door. It's like, there she is. Go get her. And she's like, she's hauling like through the, I'm like, hi, can I have a picture of like, like no presence, no coolness in any way. Just like, and she's like, okay. So I got a picture. She was nice enough to take a picture with me, but yeah, I accosted her in the airport. I hadn't gotten on my flight, and she was just getting off of hers, and but yeah, that's how that would happen.
Exciting. I would get all like flustered. Oh my god, it's Shalane,
Oh yeah.
The other really cool one is you met Kara Gosher, and she signed your shoe for you.
She did, yeah, and it was the shoe I was wearing. So I haven't worn it since. It's actually right next to me. I keep it.
Was it like an expensive pair of shoes? Oh,
yeah,
okay,
it's
that's good.
Yeah, no, it's like right here, so I can see it like all the time. And so that also, that was like me very much like trying to hunt down where she would be. I knew she was calling the meet, and we sat like really close to the finish line. And so Lewis Johnson was doing a lot of the post-race interviews, and I went and I asked him, and I said, "Hey, do you know where Kara might be?" He's like, "Oh yeah, she's all the way up there. As soon as the race is over, if you go up there, you might catch her coming out of the call box." And so I did that, and everybody's heading down. I'm heading up. I'm like going up these bleachers. Like, I need to get up there before I miss her. And then sure enough, she's packing up, and so I got a picture. I didn't have anything for her to sign, so I had her sign my shoe.
Just took it off right there.
I took it off right there. I walked around Eugene in socks, because we didn't immediately go back to the hotel. I ended up leaving the other shoe at Priest Rock. So a lot of people leave running shoes or race bibs or things like that at the memorial. So I ended up leaving the other shoe there, and then this one I took home. So that was, but yeah, that one was very much intentional. I did not run into Kara. Like that was me.
I'm gonna find her.
Hunting her down. Like that was my goal of the day. Like seeing, and I mean, I saw Stefan Hassan run. I saw Josh Kerr and Jakob Ingebrigtsen. Like, I mean, it was like the most amazing runners, but the highlight by far was meeting Kara Goucher. Like that was by far like the top the top thing.
That is such a cool experience. And now that I like watch the Olympics this year, like I want to go to one of those, like the championships or like the pre-classic. I want to go check it out. Like how cool.
Yeah. Yeah, I have every intention of being there for Los Angeles Olympics.
Oh my God, me too. We should all meet up. I'm so excited. We'll make this happen.
Yes.
We've got 4
Yeah,
years.
send me a calendar invite. I will be there.
Yeah, could you find us a sweet Airbnb?
Let's see what I can do. Actually, I have family that don't live too far away from LA. So.
Oh, perfect. We'll stay with them.
There it is, Erica. We got it. All right.
We're gonna figure it out.
The Google invite.
It's like a 2-hour drive, though. We can make that.
Well, it's worth it probably with the prices.
12-passenger van. Let's go.
Yep. So speaking of logistics and Airbnbs, are you ready for New York? Did you figure that one out?
I don't know exactly. I signed up for which ferry I'm taking. I have a hotel room. I have not looked at maps or figured out how to get from that hotel room.
But you got your flight. Your flight goes into New York,
I have my flight,
right?
yes. Yeah, we do have flights. We have flights. We have hotel. I'm signed up for a ferry. It's just everything between that I don't know where. And people keep asking. They're like, "Oh yeah, where are you staying?" Hotel Manhattan. Like it's in the correct borough. I do know that.
It's the one in Home Alone 2. That one.
Exactly. Yeah. I'm staying at the plaza.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I do have that, but yeah, that's, and I'm not even letting myself think about like, how are you getting to this ferry? How are you doing that until I've gotten home from Europe and figured out like, how am I getting to the start of that race and
honeymoon.
What's a kilometer?
Yeah. Yeah. You got your running moon, as I'm going to call it, in Europe before, and then New York City. That's exciting.
Yeah.
Well, all I can tell you is Berlin has a very good underground system, just like New York does. So it's very easy to get around. Okay. I mean, you're going to have such a blast out there.
I'm very excited.
You guys should do Oktoberfest if you
We are. So we are.
Okay.
Yeah,
So excited for you.
we're kind of making our way from Portugal over to Berlin. So we
Perfect.
are going through Munich. So that's been on my husband's bucket list for forever. So we're doing that. And
Make sure he wears his lederhosen, and you got to wear a
he
dirndl.
absolutely will. He 100% will. Like that's
everybody does it. It's like it's weird if you don't.
Really? Okay.
Kind of. You would be one of the odd people out if you didn't dress up. So plus it's fun. It's so cute. Like the little dresses.
No, we're huge costume people.
Then you guys will fit right in. It'll be perfect.
Well, Hillary, I am building a list called the Code Brown Commandments. Now, a Code Brown, you do know what that is. That's our friend Stooley right there on the poster. That's a Code Brown, but we have expanded the definition of a Code Brown to any oh crap moment, right? And how to avoid an oh crap moment. My favorite Code Brown commandment is thou shall use baby diaper rash cream to cure chafing. I think you probably know that one because you have little ones, but there's a lot out there, and I am looking for a Code Brown commandment to add to the list. Do you have anything in mind to help someone avoid an oh crap moment?
Yeah, thou shalt not wear gray leggings. So the exact worst color of leggings when you start sweating, it is the most visible crotch sweat stain ever, especially that, like, you know, the light gray, like heather gray.
I know exactly
it is,
what
yeah. It's
those
terrible.
Are in the house pants.
Exactly. Yeah, and I do have leggings like that, and luckily they've never made it to a race. But yeah, that's probably the one that I would use.
That one is perfect. I feel like a lot of women and men can relate, just because, oh God, it is unfortunate when you get so sweaty. Yeah. It looks like you peed your pants.
Yeah, exactly. And I mean, gray t-shirts are bad for sweating. But it's even worse, like leggings. Yeah, it's worse leggings because they're tight, and like obviously the first place you start sweating, it's gonna look like you have peed your pants.
I love it. No, that is a perfect one. Like she definitely is understanding all the assignments we've been giving her today.
Yeah.
But I have one more for you. We have our excellent Spotify playlist, and we like to invite our guests to add a song. So do you listen to music when you run? Do you like to listen to music?
I do not, but I do have a favorite running song. So I only put on music if I really, really need it. Like if it's typically like a really hard speed workout is when I'll put music on. I don't even own headphones, so so that's so it's only occasionally, but I would put Centerfold by Jay Gall's band. Ooh, that is my go-to, like upbeat. I always want to speed up when I put that song on. So I would add that.
That's a great one. That's a throwback too.
Yeah.
Love it.
I want to spring off that though, because we're going to soon produce another podcast that has the topic's going to be exactly that, music. And if you don't listen to music, how do you distract your mind when you're running?
Oh, with my own thoughts, mostly. I mean, that's actually where a lot of my the stupid things that I end up posting on social media, that's where a lot of them come from. It's just things that I think of on a run by myself. It's also pretty much the only time that I'm ever alone. You know, I have little kids, like, and I love my kids. They're great. But I'm with them, pretty much if I'm not working, I'm with my kids, and, or I'm asleep. And even then I'm with my husband. So it's pretty much, and it's pretty much the only time that I'm alone. So just like, I don't know. I've always been that way. I've never been a music runner. I've always just been like, this is where I can process thoughts, get a second to myself. And then that's also where I'll think of, things that I think might be funny, or like ideas that I had going, like if I have an idea at some point, like that's when I kind of let it, like turn into something like where I can actually think through things. Something that starts as just a little idea can kind of, build to something. All of that comes from just running by myself in silence or just the sounds of people honking at me. And
Yeah.
Oh, geez.
Now, as you're running and you're thinking of these new ideas and you're building it in your mind, do you have to like go home and then write it down right away, or do you remember well like what you were thinking? Because I'm the one who would need like Dave
Need
McGilvery.
the tape recorder,
Yeah,
right?
I'm the one who would need the tape recorder like Dave McGilvery does. He like thinks his thoughts and then he says it into a recorder. So when you're thinking, do you remember well like what you're thinking about?
yeah.
Because I don't.
Yeah, I remember a lot of it. Like I typically will post things pretty soon after
Mm-hmm.
I think of them, and things like if I have an idea for something, like I'll like that I'm not gonna do right away, or something that requires a lot of research. Like I have multiple things in my phone, like in my notes app. I have a lot of those. But I never stop a run to write stuff down. Like I'll keep going. Usually I'll remember most of it. I'll actually remember stuff better that I think of on a run than like at other times because I'm usually less distracted.
Yeah, I always like randomly think of like the most random thoughts while running. I'm like, oh yeah, there was this time in college that Erica and I went to that Halloween party and that was so much fun. And then I will never thinking about it again until like another run around Halloween. I'll be like, oh yeah, that time. It's the running that sparks it for me.
Yeah.
But yeah,
We
that's a
talked about
little.
stuff on our run today, and I barely remember what we talked about. Like,
Yeah.
I'm the worst at that.
What did we talk about? I forget.
See,
We ta-
exactly. I'm
yeah,
telling you,
it's
I
one of
don't-
those.
I don't
Like I think
know.
I told you
Yeah.
a story about a credit card for like half the run.
You did.
Yeah. But oh man, Hillary, this was so much fun. You hit it out of the park. You understood the
Thank you.
assignment. You really did. You're so cool and active on Instagram. Like that's how we all followed each other, but really reconnected when you saw that post. You're like, huh, are you sending it to Texas? I'm guessing Texas
Yeah.
with the state you
Send
picked.
me a shirt.
Yeah. Yeah. And then I'm like, yep, what's your address? I'm gonna send it to you with a bunch of stickers and
And
everything.
actually,
And
pictures on the back. I would show y'all, but it's on the back of my laptop. I'll send
Fun.
you a picture once I can shut my laptop. I'll send you because
There
that's
you go.
on there as well.
And I love that
Awesome.
the shirt gets a lot of love in your house. You're telling us your husband wears it quite a bit. So I'm
Oh
like,
yeah, he wears it all. He wears it all the time. There's all sorts of like crap on the bottom of
Well,
it. Like I don't know if you can see any of this. Like
yeah,
just
you have kids. I
it's
know
what
it.
I
I
got
know.
off the bathroom floor earlier because
Erica and I just splurged and we bought ourselves hoodies and we got the nice on the runs on it. We even got Stoolie on the back, right on the neck where the hood covers. So we call
He's
it
a
a sneaky Stoolie.
sneaky
oh,
stoolie.
I like that.
I told my wife, you are not allowed to wear this. Because she wears all my clothing and she goes,
Yeah.
what's yours is mine. I get to wear it. I go, you do not get to wear this hoodie. No.
See, that works out better. If you're bigger than your wife, that works out better. Like for me, if I have something that I'm willing to share, I'll order it in a large. And then if it's something that is going to be mine forever, then it's ordered in a medium and he can't put it on in the first place. So
I don't
Smart.
have
That's
that.
using
My
your
clothes
head.
are all really nice and comfortable for her. So,
yeah.
yeah. But this was
Oh,
fun.
man.
Thanks so much for coming on the pod. You're now a member of the pod fam. Welcome.
We're happy to have you,
Yay.
Hillary.
Thank you so much.
Anything you want to share? How can people find you if you start coaching again after all your races this fall? Where can they find you on Instagram? Tell them all they need to know, and I'll share it in the show notes.
Sure. Yeah. So everything pretty much is through Instagram. So it's just running up that Hillary, and I have underscores between the words, so it's not all one word. But also recently I had somebody look up, I'm like, I wanted to see if you looked up running Hillary, what would come up, and my profile came up. So if you just want to
Yay.
search that, hopefully that's what comes up. I check my messages and my message requests and all that stuff. So there's a couple of people that I've created coaching plans for that I've never even met in person, but that I met through Instagram. So I'm very receptive on there.
That's exciting. I love how people can do the whole virtual thing, even though you never meet anybody face to face, but still get that nice one-on-one connection.
Yeah, no, I love it. And I would have never expected, what has kind of come out of having this profile. I've been on Instagram for over 10 years. But I never, the whole reason I even made this page was just because I felt like I might be like bothering people I know personally who aren't runners by posting all this running stuff. And so I thought maybe like I would follow a couple like Olympians and then like people in my run club, and that would be the extent of it. And I never would have expected to actually be meeting people, talking to people, like meeting up at races, things like that. It's such a cool thing.
It's a wicked cool community. It really is. And wicked, like you got married up here, so you can say wicked. You're one of us.
I can.
Yeah.
Okay, cool. Yeah, it's pretty wicked.
Yeah, pretty wicked. Well, this was wicked awesome. We had a blast. Thanks so much for coming on. Guys, I hope you enjoyed Hillary Burgess on the On the Runs podcast.